Listening to the Hometown Losers, the St. Louis Sports Podcast, with Josh, Adam, and OJ.
Hey everybody, welcome back here to the Hometown Losers Podcast. I'm joined as always by Adam and OJ for session number 64, and 64 is a good number because it is officially March. March Madness is coming up, and it used to be 64 teams. Well, you know, it's not anymore. But anyways, Adam, OJ, gentlemen, how are we doing today? Back in the good old days.
Back in the good old days. How are you, OJ?
I'm great. You know, just having a chill day today, I guess. So yeah, I'm doing well.
And it has been wonderful outside. So it hasn't been chilly outside. So I've been out enjoying it, and it's been awesome. Whenever I'm not working like crazy. I know we were just chatting, and Josh, you never probably get to go outside anymore because I think you're pretty much chained to your computer, which sucks. But
it's not even that. But you know, having COVID, like that fucking sucks.
You can go outside.
I just can't breathe on anybody. But I mean, obviously, I'm close to being past it at this point.
Just go out in your backyard.
I think so. Tomorrow is the first day that we can not wear, because Kristen, my girlfriend, and I both got it, and so I think tomorrow is the first time that I can't. It's either tomorrow or it's going to have to be tomorrow because we play volleyball tomorrow. So it's going to be the first time that we're going to wear.
It's going to have to be.
I mean, like, it's gonna have to be. I'm not playing.
Whether
volleyball,
COVID likes it or not, you're gonna have to freaking like it.
Hey, you know what?
Take
what
Take
we
that,
actually
COVID.
need to do to win. That's what we need to do to win this year. This year is we're going to this session or whatever. I'm going to infect everybody on COVID, so they have to miss, you know, at least a week or two, and hopefully we get you know, to come out on top from some forfeits. That's perfect.
Yeah, wonderful.
What?
I love it. Yeah, let's go ahead and plan the next.
Don't worry about it. I don't know.
Why not?
Yeah.
I was going to say, by the way, if the FBI is listening, he does not work for the Wuhan, Department of Virology. So just saying.
Oh yeah. I also didn't fuck a pangolin, so.
South Park reference. Anyway.
Is that a newer episode? Because I don't.
You know, it's old. I mean, that happened right during COVID. It was during the pandemic special.
That's special.
That's new to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Well, if you haven't watched the pandemic special,
ironically, I just watched an episode last night. Like, I didn't realize that was 3 specials because they don't do episodes anymore. Like in the season, they only do the specials. And I'm 3 specials behind, and I just watched Enter the Pandaverse, and it was fucking hilarious. So I'm like, God, dude, South Park is so good high too. It's fucking hilarious.
Wait, you said they don't do episodes anymore?
No, they don't. So here's the thing:
it's not like a normal season anymore.
No, yeah, Trey Parker, Matt Stone. If you may or may not know, OJ, they did the whole like hashtag cancel South Park. That was driven by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They're done with South Park, essentially, is what they've continuously said a couple times. But they're not going to cancel themselves because they're making too much money off it. And they're like, so after that whole thing, and they went for it. Like, they tried to get canceled, and obviously did not get canceled. They got renewed. And so they go, well, fuck it. We're not doing episodes anymore because it's just taking too much of our time for our other projects and stuff. We're just going to do specials. So whenever we can do it and stuff like that. So they're not 20 minutes. They're double episodes. It's usually they're 48 minutes to like an hour, depending on whatever they do them. Yeah.
Sick. I'll just check it out then.
Oh, dude, no, it's hilarious.
Yeah. I was watching, I just happened to watch some episodes last night as well, including the Charles Manson Christmas special one.
Oh my God.
I love that one.
It's so fucking bad. Dude, like there's not one like episode of South Park you can look at and be like, oh, that was a shitty episode. Like they're
I know,
so
right?
fucking good. It's like that's the thing. When I go to my mom's and stay over there, use the house as a vacation house. It's like I'm always watching True TV for the Impractical Jokers, or well, didn't do this the last time because it was like they kept showing episodes without Joe, and it's like it's just not the same. And so like I just was on South Park because or on Comedy Central because all they show is South Park, and it's like every episode I'm dying laughing, even though I've seen it 4 or 5 times. It's like I haven't seen it in a while, you know? Oh, it's so good.
It's all executed super well. Like
Yeah.
the Russell Crowe one, fighting
God.
around the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and they always take like hard left turns when you're not expecting shit, but it still makes sense. You know what I mean? For like what they're building. Oh god, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get to some sports talk here, and we'll start
let's do
talking about the Blues here. So, quick update for everybody.
Blues.
The Blues are now 31-27-7 for 69 points. Giggity. They are 7-2-2 since the last time we talked about them, because last session we had obviously was during the Four Nations tournament, which obviously the NHL was on a pause. They are now 5th in the Central Division, which is one better than last time we talked about them. They are 25 points behind the Jets. That is 1 point better. We are 10th in the West, which is one position better. And still, again, behind the Jets, who lead the West. We are 16th in the NHL. That is 6 positions better than last time we talked. The Capitals technically are they're tied points-wise with Winnipeg, but they have 1 game in hand over Winnipeg. We're still 25 points behind them. And we are now 1 point out of the last wild card spot, which is behind the Calgary Flames. That is 5 points better and 1 position better than last time. So the play of late has been pretty good.
Improving.
When you take a look at the last 11 games, 7-2-2, that's pretty fucking good. That is something that we are hopefully going to be able to sustain. OJ, I'm going to start with you here. You know, what's your thoughts here of the play of late?
It's been better than I've seen in years, honestly.
Yeah, since 2019 is what I felt like.
Basically, everybody's chipping in.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing good hockey. I mean, because it's not just that they're 7-2-2, but that was a tough stretch of games where they had a difficult. The scheduling was tough on them, and they played a bunch of difficult opponents as well. And yeah, so I don't know. I haven't seen them play this well in a very, very long time. Every line's contributing. Like I'm very it's very fun to watch them play like this.
Sure.
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Adam?
Yeah, I have to say I agree. You know, and we have a lot of key players that have really been stepping up in a big way. You know, we had Robert Thomas. He'd been a catalyst. You know, we had 11 game point streak. He actually had 15 points in those 11. Or I think, yeah, it was 15 points. I think in 11 games where he had 5 goals and 10 assists, and you know, the top line coach, and you know that's really helping drive in our offense, which we really needed to work on. You know, has really been coming in clutch. You know, and obviously Neighbors, he's been notable as well, stepping in and you know, also providing more of a physical presence as well, which I like to see. I know our team hasn't necessarily been the most physical, and I'd like to see us to be a little more physical on the ice for sure. We've got Benny. He's been, I think, quietly solidifying his play. Off of his big win there for Team Canada. He overall has had a pretty good hot streak, I think. With Hofer, he was a little shaky early in, but I think he's had a few strong saves late. But yeah, I've been happy with overall our offense and with Bennington. I think the power play has started to find some little bit of rhythm. It hasn't been great. It's really, it's something we talk about a lot. but I think that, there was a couple examples where, I think that we had, some good opportunities on special teams, and I think that we actually finally started, executing where we needed to. So at least I've been seeing some improvements, and the PK has also been a big concern for us, and I think that continues to still be a concern for us for sure.
Definitely.
Our success rate is not the greatest. It's literally, I think, one of the worst in the league. So yeah, but I think Montgomery overall, though, he's been doing a great job. He's uh, really stressing what we need to be focused on, and um, seeing those gaps overall. And I think that we've been remarkably improved compared to where we were earlier this year, for sure. So I think that overall, if we stay on this track that we're on, that we'll be in a good spot come playoff time.
Yeah, my thing about it is we've talked about it several times, right? Is consistency, and I think that the biggest thing for me is like the power play and the penalty kill is not where you want it to be, but it's been more consistent. And the thing that I definitely have noticed, at least on the power play, is like they're not necessarily like they're getting more goals right now, but it's not even like it's not like they're all of a sudden it's fixed, right? And they're just like, okay, they got this thing figured out and stuff like that. But I'm seeing more consistency on their puck movement. It's not like, okay, hey, like, oh God, do I shoot or do I pass? Do I shoot or do I pass? You know what I mean? Like it's more deliberate with what they're trying to do, and they're sticking to that game plan. It's kind of the same thing on the power kill, or on the power kill, excuse me, and the penalty kill right now. Is like they're okay, you know what? Like we're buying in, we're gonna stick to it, and eventually this is gonna work out well for us. And that's what we need. And the biggest thing to me, honestly, what I've seen coming out of the Four Nations, more fucking urgency. I think that like I'm seeing urgency in their play, and it's like, hey, like we have a chance to do this. We need to get in. Like, yeah, we're not gonna win the President's Trophy, right? That's not happening right now. But we can get in, and we're a much better team than what we are showing right now. We need to go and give this last push, and try to get the best that we possibly can out of it, right?
For sure.
Yep.
I think we're doing all the right things right now, the little things that we need to do in order to win those tight games, and sometimes that it takes those little things like, just from blocking shots to, back checking hard and just making sure that commitment level is just, it has to be high. You've got to put it all out there. Um, you know, Even if we're outshot, I think that we still go out there on the ice and hang in there, thinking that we can have it like I guess like a determined, style, basically. I think that I'm seeing that, like that sense of, like you said, the sense of urgency. I definitely see that. And coming back to your point about consistency, since Montgomery's taken over in, what was that, late November, I think, we were inconsistent for a while. But I think that we're finally stringing together some of those consistent efforts. I think that the pieces are starting to click. They're starting to listen to him, and I'm glad that he came back and he's able to and the guys are listening, and they're commit. It looks like the commitment is there. So
Yeah. I mean, have you seen Zach Bolduc? He's got like 7 points with 5 goals in his last 10 games, something like that.
Wow, unreal.
So, that's a nice little scoring depth right there from the
For
third
sure.
line.
Something that we definitely haven't had, you know what I mean? Not even
Yeah.
just this year, but in a couple of years.
Yeah, and Matthew Joseph has been playing with his hair on fire.
Yes, he
Like
has.
this is what he's capable of. We saw him like early in the season. I remember commenting on him because he went against the Leafs, and like I remember he back checked real hard and lifted Austin Matthews' stick or something on a breakaway or a 2-on-1, something like that, and saved a real good scoring opportunity. But then you kind of like didn't hear much from him for a long time. But of late, he's been playing amazingly well. So, like I said, everybody's stepping up their game, and it's really showing. And it's just good team hockey.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, getting back to what the Blues do the best, and that is, you don't have Ovi, you don't have Crybaby Crosby, you don't have McCarr, you don't have these giant names, right? So
Right.
you're going to go out there and you got to do it as a team. And the thing about this is what people, I think that, and there is a lot of St. Louis fans and St. Louis Blues fans are right now are just going, like, yeah, this is the flash in the pan, blah, blah, blah. And they have every right to say that because we've seen it so many times. But here's the thing about this
I
is
think
it's
it's a little different now.
yeah, and it's not like 2019, right? Like for anybody that thinks
Yeah.
it's like 2019,
That
it's
was an
not.
anomaly.
Right,
that,
right. But hold on.
that doesn't happen,
But people tend to forget in 2012, I'm pretty certain. Yeah, 2012. The Blues were the second team in the entire NHL. We lost out to the President's Trophy to Vancouver on the last game of the season by 1 point. We went from nothing to all of a sudden, like Ken Hitchcock had that team fucking rolling. And it was, the old school, Oshie was playing incredible. Backus was playing amazing. Like, Brian Elliott was stopping everything. We were the number one team in the NHL for a long time. Like we were doing really well. And we ended up, the number 2 seed or whatever. And that was the year that we thought we were going to do it. We beat the Blackhawks, if I remember correctly. No, it wasn't at the Blackhawks. I don't think it was the Sharks.
Which year was it?
It was the Sharks. Yeah, I remember it was actually you and I, OJ, were at Rookies out in Wentzville, and we watched it. It was when we beat the Sharks, and then we lost.
That.
Yeah, we lost to the LA Kings, who were. I'm sitting there going, "This is the best case scenario for us," because the Kings just knocked out Vancouver, and that was the only team that we had a losing record against in the playoffs. And so I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like they knocked out. We're going up against the 8th seed. Like we are going to the Western Conference Finals. We're going to the Stanley Cup. Like we have this, and then the LA Kings, who got hot at the right fucking time, ends up winning. And they only lost, people tend to forget, they lost 4 games that entire playoff run. They were 16-4. And that's all it takes in, hockey. That's all it takes. And so they swept us, like it was not like, you know what I mean? Now, obviously they started, they won another cup a little bit after that as well. But that's all it takes. And, this team can surprise some people if they can get hot. And if Jordan Binnington can play like he did, stopping shit, even we saw it in the Four Nations final. Team USA was all over Canada. And say what you want about Jordan Binnington. Binnington kept them from losing that game.
Oh, yeah. Binnington won them that game.
Yeah,
like Team USA dominated Canada for the most part. And Binnington saved their bacon for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like made like 2 or 3 ridiculous saves, and it's just like God, and like right when like he was making those saves, I'm like, fuck, USA's gonna choke. And sure enough, it was like
I wouldn't even call it a choke. I mean, at some point when you have 3 like almost guaranteed goals, just get absolutely robbed. Like eventually, Canada's gonna put one in. It's not like they have nobodies over there.
Yeah, when you have exactly. When you have Austin Matthews and Kachuk both looking up at the rafters at different parts of time, going like, "How did that not go in?" You know that you're doing something that's pretty special, and that's what it was. And it was just frustrating. And I'm like, it's either going to be fucking Crosby or it's going to be McDavid, and obviously it was McDavid, just like son of a bitch. But like as you said, they didn't have scrubs. They got really good players on that side too, but. I think Binnington shut up a lot of the Canadian fans that did not want him to be their goalie.
But he's already had a lot of hate anyway, and so
he's finally getting some much deserved respect. So.
For sure,
100%.
So I'm glad, at least from that perspective. As much as I wanted Team USA to win, at least I was happy from that. If Canada was going to win, at least I'm glad that he got some recognition out of it.
Yeah. Same. Yep. People realize that him and Parayko are actually pretty good players now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another person too that I think was very underrated when the performance was Parayko. Parayko did a phenomenal job too.
Yep.
No doubt.
So
for sure.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, let's talk about playoff chances before we head to our next segment here. Adam, I'm going to start with you here. Give us a percentage chance or a percentage of what you believe the us making the playoffs are for the Blues.
I'd say about 20%, maybe 25.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is because it's going to be interesting because we are in a very precarious situation because we're fifth in the Central. We have 69 points, like you said, from 1 point behind the Western Conference wild card. But we also have the Flames, you said. I think we got the Kings. We got the Canucks. We basically have, and we got Utah. Basically, we have the West wild card battle, and it's like 5 teams within a few points of each other.
Yeah.
But the good news is our recent surge has really pulled us into,
against some of those teams that are in that hunt, by the way.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And what I like about it is the fact that if we factor in our remaining schedule, we are going to have several games. I think we play the Penguins tomorrow. They're going to be facing off against a lot of non-playoff teams in late March, including 2 against the Blackhawks and 1 against the Habs. So those are essentially must-win games, of course. So I think Montgomery said it. He bluntly put it, and I agree with it. To stay in the hunt, the Blues need to win. We have to stay consistent. Mm-hmm. But I think that if we continue with the consistency that we have seen, and with the schedule that we have at hand, I think that we have a good possibility of securing a wild card spot. Like I said, I'm going to go 25%.
Okay.
We do have a few tougher opponents left in April, including some of these divisional leaders. And we do end it looks like, on the 15th of April at home against Utah. And that could be a pivotal game as well, because obviously we're in contention against Utah as well when it comes to the wild card. So that could be actually pivotal too. Whenever, it's always interesting how it always comes down to within a point or two sometimes. And we got to stay healthy. That's the other part too.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the thing. Obviously, we had the injury to Parayko, and everything else. But we got to have that mentality that even if one goes down, we're still in it, and we're collectively stepping up on defense. I think that we need to probably hit at least 90 points plus to snag a wild card. So anyway, they're going to have to win probably at least, I'm estimating maybe 10 or more of their final 17 games or so. Maybe like, So anyway, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be tough, but I think their playoff hunt is a lot. Very much more so now than where we were before. I'll say that.
Yeah,
it's going to be a nail biter though. So it should be exciting. I have to say, it will be exciting to see.
OJ, what about you? What do you give you, percentage-wise here?
I start with percentages on this stuff, but let's see. I honestly think I'll go 55%. I'm going to go a little over than 1 out of 2.
All right.
Just because they're playing so well right now. And like the Canucks are sliding, although they did just get Hughes back.
Yeah, which is going to be a massive bump. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, them and the Flames are in striking distance. And I think the Blues right now are playing better than either team. The only issue, and also I believe the Blues have the easiest schedule the rest of the way in the entire NHL. So as far as difficulty of opponent anyway, not necessarily based on actual, I think they have a lot of back-to-backs, but I think they can handle the back-to-backs. They've shown they can.
Based upon based upon the difficulty of opponent, though, they have a much easier schedule than a lot of others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, easier path forward. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm definitely heartened by how well they've been playing, even though Pareko is out. That was obviously a big blow to them. But man, if they could just sneak into the playoffs, get Pareko back, just go on, probably beat a team or two.
Yeah, that's when you get dangerous, right? And that's what we were talking about with, the LA Kings and what they did. You get in this, and then the second season starts, right? It starts over from scratch. And so you just got to win and continue to move forward. It doesn't matter what you did at the regular season at that point.
Exactly.
Just beat the opponent in front of you more times than you lose, and you're going to be hoisting the cup. So my percentage is a little lower than yours, OJ. I'm at a 40%. I really thought that this was going to be more of a 50-50. So if they continue at this pace, then yeah, I'm going to be looking at it more around 50 to 55%, just like what you're putting them at. But it's just it's just the Blues, right? What we've dealt with our entire lives. It's like, oh.
That's why I'm being a little more cautious whenever it comes
zebra
to that.
stripe gun.
Yeah.
50% to me sounds very high, but I think maybe because I'm a bit of an optimist, or I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Well, they could easily come out after this long break they've had now, because now they haven't played for like 4 days, so they could easily come out.
Yeah, they have had a long break. You're right.
Yeah, they could just lose all momentum and lay an absolute stinker, and it's like, I guess they aren't making it after all. It's that close.
Exactly.
It could easily happen. So,
for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's transition here.
Next time.
All right.
I'll let you know. I guess.
Anyway. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and transition here to our next topic, and that's talking a little bit about STLSC and City. They've only played 3 games here, so I'll go through a quick update of where they sit in the standings for the listeners. They are 1-2-0, so that's 1 win and 2 draws because the middle number is for your draws. They have 5 total points. They sit 6th in the West. They are 4 behind Vancouver. They are 10th in MLS, 4 behind Philly. And it's the same thing kind of like with the Blues. Vancouver and Philly are both tied with points, but Philly is fucking on one. They are +7 in the goal department. And I think Vancouver which is kind of crazy, but the Whitecaps I think are like +3, +4. It's been kind of like interesting MLS season so far, but I'll start with you, Adam. What's your thoughts on the play so far from City?
It's interesting. So I would say it looks like maybe more of a transformed team under Mellberg now from last year. The higher pressing chaos of what we were seeing under Carnell, it looks like it's a little bit more measured. There's a little bit more cautious approach that is prioritizing our defense, for example. I thought it was interesting how he's implemented a system where, he's had like 3 center backs and wing backs. And so it looks like it's been a little bit more difficult to break down. And so I think with looking at how he's structuring, our lines in essence, and our defense, it seems that it's obviously translating to what we're seeing here. I mean, looking at up to this point, I don't think anyone has yet to score on us. So far, effectively. I think we're the only team. I think we're the only team left in the MLS that have not been scored on. And so that to me really says a lot that we have the defensive numbers, and that is huge, and I know Mellberg, his emphasis on team defending has obviously been very stressed, and I think that we defend it really well. The problem is that we don't have the offense to back it up, and so here we go again with we're going out while we're heavy in the defense, we're light in the offense, and so we're gonna have to make some take some of these opportunities and change some things up a little bit. We've had way too many draws. We obviously had 13 draws last season. I was afraid that we might be seeing more of that this season, and unfortunately, we've seen that now. At least, how many draws have we had? What, 2 or 3?
Two.
Two so far. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I hope that we can step out of our offense a little bit. Is what I'm going to say. But they have had a new dimension of, at least when it comes to their defensive grit, and I'm happy to say that if they can balance that out with a little bit more offense, then I think that we can be a contender.
Yeah, and that's kind of the interesting thing that I'm seeing as well is we're playing a lot more. Yeah, like our attack is not necessarily there, but our defense is very, very well organized, very well structured.
Oh yeah.
The fact that again Berkey does lead the league, and again it's only 3 games, but leads the league in clean sheets, which is nice. And Berkey's also obviously a phenomenal keeper, right? So like you just take the pressure off of him, and I think that's going to really help out as well. I'm taking a look here at what this is my biggest thing, right? So clearances and stuff like that, meaning he's got to clear the line and make a last ditch effort essentially to clear it out. He's got 3 clean sheets, 0 clearances. He is one of only there's actually a few people or a few guys that have that don't have clearances, but he's pretty high in that standard, and that's going to be a lot of wins. You know what I mean? Or potentially ties too, unfortunately. But again, he's doing a great job. I mean, he's got 9 saves on the season as well, which is a decent amount too. The leader is Montreal and Sirios, who's got 15. But just to put that in context, you know what I mean? So he's right up there with everybody. I think that's phenomenal. You know what I mean? So again, we just got to continue to play strong defensively, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being, not setting the world on fire and scoring 5 or 6 goals a games, because defense
we just need to score 1.
Yeah, just exactly.
Score 1.
And if we do that, then you're putting the pressure on them that, okay, hey, you're not going to break through our wall.
Damn right.
And if you give us the opportunity, we will counter. We do have the talent to finish. We do have the quality to finish. And we're going to only get better on that. Because, again, this is a newer unit, right? We do have, obviously, a lot of familiar faces, but there's quite a few that are newer that are getting to learn the nuances. And the more soccer that I am watching, the more I'm realizing it's way more chemistry than I thought. I thought team chemistry, I thought hockey was number 1, football was number 2, because of all the little nuances that you have to have, especially line play and wide receivers running the same route and everybody being on the same page, right? And then dead last the NBA, because whatever, they fucking go out there and play a game. You know what I mean? One guy can come over and take everything over. But I am really starting to learn that I think you need to have even more continuity in soccer than hockey. And that's saying a lot for me, so it's crazy. But I think that when we continue, and that's why I think on our inaugural season, we were so good, is those guys. It's what Danny, if you guys remember, when we had him on as our guest talking about it, that they played a lot together before the season. And it really started to show on our magical first season run. And then obviously we had injuries and stuff like that. So now you have people that are not playing with each other and stuff like that. And now we're starting to show sophomore growing pains, right? But I think that the continuity so far has been phenomenal, and everybody's been on the same page in that aspect. We're not trying to rewrite the rule book. We're not trying to do anything that we're not capable of doing. So again, I'm very ecstatic about it so far, even though we only have 1 win with 2 draws. But that 1 win was a 3-0 victory, if I remember correctly, right? So that's what we need to have. And so I'm okay with the 0-0 draws if you can bring it out, because eventually those 0-0 draws are going to be 1-0 St. Louis, 2-0 St. Louis, and so on and so forth, right? So again, we'll see what happens. But OJ, what's your thoughts?
Well, so the sequence is you had a 0-0 draw against Colorado at home, where you dominated Colorado on the ball and you got a bunch more shots. I think they had a 2-something expected goals, but they didn't actually score any. So they played well, just couldn't score. That sucks.
Yeah.
Then they survived more or less San Diego in their inaugural game of their inaugural home game of their entire existence.
Mm-hmm.
When they were out playing super, they got up for that game obviously for sure, and they were doing a super high press. And I actually don't think the expected goal numbers were all that different, but San Diego certainly possessed the ball the vast majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there's your two draws, and then you go into LA Galaxy and you smoke them there. And I mean, to me, if you look at like what we have up front, we do have some skilled players that can
For
score
sure.
the ball. Like Marcel Hartle in particular, like that dude, he made a really good play on, I think it was their second goal. It was a good pass. I didn't think he'd be able to beat the defender to it, but he was able to get there first, put a touch on it, and then roof it from pretty in close. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the way they're playing. I agree with you guys. It looks like Melberg's going to be much more conservative from a style standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and it honestly kind of reminds me of like Ken Hitchcock hockey a little
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you probably are going to suppress the offensive numbers of your more skilled players by doing it. But he also said that
But
it's
that's
like
okay.
building a house and you have to build the foundation. And like, I kind of agree with that perspective because I think that's what Hitchcock accomplished for the Blues is a lot of their core players, he taught them to play a good
Mm-hmm.
structured style of hockey that allowed them to then really thrive once they get more opened up, right?
Right. And they're more comfortable with it, as you
Yeah.
said. Yeah. They
If
open
when
up.
you
Right.
bring, especially if you bring like young players up and you're just like, all right, all gas, no brakes, let's go. They
Yep.
never learned
Yeah.
that part of the game as well. They're
And
never going to be as comfortable defensively.
Mm-hmm.
So
and once you have that recipe, because let's face it, playoff teams have solid defensive, you know, sides, and they have a brick wall. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That is absolutely critical for a true playoff, team if they want to actually be, um, you know, if they want to make it deep. And I think
yeah,
that is, like you said, that I agree that that is in essence like what you said, the bedrock that we're building up on, and so that you've got to build it off of that more than anything. And so I think that he has that
mm-hmm.
foundation laid down. So yeah, now
Right.
like Josh, you were talking earlier, we were saying at this point it doesn't have to be 4 or 5 goals a game. Just needs to be 1 or 2 at most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Our defense is obviously keeping us in these games. So
Good. I
I
do
think
know that they said part of what they wanted out of Melberg was tactical flexibility. So I'm
mm-hmm.
hoping that this really is just like building the foundation, and then either as the season goes on or maybe next season, we start to see more formations and maybe see some more offensive oriented looks here sprinkled in
Yeah.
here and there.
And that's the
'Cause,
one thing, and I don't mean to cut you off, OJ, but people are going to have to understand with soccer too, is like coming into it, is it does take a much longer time to establish your identity and establish your strategies and stuff like that, right? Comparatively to any of the other sports. So it
Right.
just it takes more time. But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, I mean you're fine. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I was just gonna say that I don't really want us to be like just a counterattacking team that just retreats all the way back to the your own final third. I mean, and then just wait for the opponent to turn the ball over and try and hit one over the top and get on a breakaway or something. That sucks
Mm-hmm.
to watch. Like I would not want
Yeah.
to watch a team just do that all the time. And that's, to be fair,
Sure.
that's not exactly how they've been playing. That's kind of how they played against San Diego, though. It was like they're just looking for a quick break. And I hope they do. I hope they vary it up more. But I can tolerate this for a while.
Yeah.
Like I said, the LA Galaxy game was entertaining. They actually did play real soccer. They didn't just try and hit quick strikes from their own end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, how they, will progress in the season. Obviously, it's very early on. They got 31 more games, right? So who knows? They could walk away with 100 points this season. Who knows?
And we still haven't seen much of Celio Pompey. He was
No.
probably one of their better players the last couple seasons before he got hurt. So
Yeah.
I wonder if he's still working back from an injury or whatnot. But I think he could add a dimension to the team that they're missing right now. So hopefully he can
Agreed.
get back.
Yep, I agree with you. All right, guys, let's transition here and let's play a few games here. We're going to do some under over and we're going to do some buy or sell.
All right.
I'm going to have you guys go first. Adam, do you want to start with some under overs?
I can, sure. Yeah. So this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. So I'm kind of glad that this sort of ties into that, and this with the St. Louis Blues. So right now the Blues are to finish with, it looked like based upon the betting line currently for 24-25 point total for the Blues was 87.5 points. I'm going to definitely go with the over. Obviously, the reason why is like we were saying earlier. So yes, right now we're sitting here with 69 points. We got 17, I think, games remaining. We need roughly 19 points in to clear the 87.5. And obviously the run that we've been on recently, and with, like I mentioned earlier, the lower team, the lower tier teams, I should say, coming up ahead with the easier schedule, I think that it's definitely plausible. And I'm hoping that we get at least, because I think we need at least 90 points in us for us to be able to get into that position for a playoff. And historically, we are known for having a stronger finish. Obviously, we know in 2019, for sure, albeit obviously that was an extreme scenario. But I think that this year our squad has definitely found its identity so far in March. In the locker room, it feels like they're just continuing to build. Those guys are really clicking right now. Even without Pareko and obviously the schedule, coming up, it looks like we're still going to be fairly easy. I think that they'll likely need to win around at least 10 in the final 17. So, and with considering they in their current form winning about 70%, it looks like, of the games in the past 2 weeks, I think that we can definitely say at this point that we're going to go with the over. I'm going to settle on at least 90 at this point that we're going to finish this season out with. So if I were going to go on the over-under, I would definitely take the over at this point in time, because the momentum and that we have, I think, is going to continue throughout March and finish off strong into mid-April.
Okay, so what was the number for the under over?
Currently the line is 87.5.
87.5, so 88 points. Yeah, I definitely think they're going to go over that as well. I think they end up around like 92, 94, somewhere around there. We'll see if that's good enough to get in the playoffs, but I'll go over. What about you, OJ?
I will also go over because I'm pretty optimistic about their chance of making. Excuse me, about their chance of making the playoffs. And I think if they were under 87.5 points, they definitely don't. So
yeah, that's
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. OJ, what do you have for under over?
Let's see. I'll tell you what. Why don't you come back to me on that, because I forgot what I had.
Okay. Yeah, not a problem. Alrighty. I'll go with here. Let's stay with the Blues. So Hofer is on his last year on his contract, right? He is an unrestricted, or excuse me, he's a restricted free agent next year. So the question is, under or over, does Hofer get 3-year contract? Does he get it extended to 3 years, or is it going to be over that? We'll start with you, Adam. What are your thoughts here? Do you think he's going to be over a 3-year or under 3-year contract that he gets?
So if he gets a contract, if he gets a one, or basically if he'll get a 3-year contract, over or under, I would say probably I'm going to take the under. I would say he'll probably get maybe a 2-year. The reason why I say that is because he just hasn't been that guy that we were hoping that he was going to be. While he's not bad as a backup at this point, I think that we need to remain flexible. And to me, I would go with the under. I don't think that he's produced enough at this point to warrant a 3-year contract. So I would go with the under.
Okay.
I'd probably offer 2-year, but that's just me.
Okay. What about you, OJ? What are your thoughts?
Man, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
So Bennington's contract is up after 2 more seasons. So
Correct.
you'd think if you view Hofer as the future, you probably want to extend him beyond 2 more seasons. But that's really the question, isn't it? So how old is he anyway? Let me look up how
old Hofer is.
Hofer. He's 24. That's very young for.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could see more. So he's been inconsistent so far this season, but he obviously has some real talent there. Let me think. Because then there's Colton Ellis coming up, who apparently has been just a stud, but they signed him for a 2-way contract, I think for like 2 years or something also. So, yeah, I think that. So he got signed. I think Colton Ellis got signed for like a 2-year, 2-way contract extension. So that would be up about the time Jordan Bennington's leaving. So I'm going to say over, just because I don't think they have anyone else in the organization right now to take over for Bennington. I'm not confident they're going to want to give Bennington another contract after the one he's on, because he's going to be quite old by then.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I could see him trying to do a little bridge with Hofer or something like that.
And it's fair enough too, because honestly, I think that 3 years is like the perfect contract they would give it to him, because then is he going to be the guy or is he not going to be the guy? And it coincides with Bennington, so you make that decision about your goaltending future right then and there, and it gives you the 3 years of Ellis that's still in a 2-way contract, because then obviously you if Ellis continues on his path and Hofer is not that guy, or Bennington is not your future, then you can trade those guys depending on obviously where you're at in the season. Get him some experience, because he is in a 2-way contract, at least right now. You could probably talk to him and say, hey, we're going to extend this for 1 more year, and then you go from there, or even bring him up, whatever that looks like, right? So I think that 3 years is perfect. But in the game, since we're doing under over, I guess I'll go under, because I don't think that they would, give him over that without knowing what the future is going to look like and what you think that Bennington's going to be that guy, right? Like, you don't know. So again, I'll go under just because of that fact. But I think that 3 years that's why it was very hard for me when I was deciding that, because like 3 years is like the perfect like contract that I would give him.
Well, that in essence is really what a bridge contract is. It's 2 or 3 years, and it literally serves for that probation period.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
To see if he's ready or not. And so absolutely, I would be perfectly fine with 3 years, but if you're going to go over under, I'm going with the under, because I don't see them giving him that medium term commitment, because I don't think that he's done enough to secure that at this point.
Right.
Yeah, and that's fair,
Yeah,
to me, it really depends. That's where it's up to the hockey people to know what they're doing, because they have the information to make those choices that we don't have. And so they need to project how he's going to develop, because he's shown he has the ability to be a 1A type of goaltender. But the question is, can he bring it every night, or can he bring it at least like 54 to 60 games a year? You know what I mean? To be the front end of that 2-headed monster. That's really what's going to decide it, and depending on what he'll take also, because there is a reality where you could sign him if you can get him cheap enough, where he could be a solid 1B for you going forward as well. So it kind of depends on the terms he's looking for as well. But, so I think there's a lot of room for him to sign something longer than 3 years. It just depends on what the specifics are.
Yeah, the one thing about it is, like, if you give him a 2-year contract, he can still remain a restricted free agent, and so it'll only be a second NHL contract. If it's If you go above that, it will have to be he'll be a unrestricted free agent. So essentially, you give the ability to keep him, and then like a restricted free agent, you say, okay, we're not going to sign you. That's fine. Like you go out, you find your contract, but then we get compensated for that depending on like who picks him up because you just won't match it and let him go. So there is some right, exactly. So there is some strategy around to that. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
The compensation on those offer sheets isn't so great, though. We've seen that.
Yeah, well, 110%. It's not great, but you're at least getting something and let them walk. You know what I mean? So
True.
like there's it's just something is better than nothing if you're going to let him walk anyways. If you don't believe he's going to be that guy and somebody does say, okay, you know what, we'll have him come be a backup somewhere because we do believe that we can develop him or whatever that looks like, then fine, then great. We'll take an extra compensatory like third, fourth round, whatever. It doesn't probably won't turn into anything, but we will get a player for it. So
right. Oh yeah, that's a good point.
All right, OJ, did you remember your under over?
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just go since we haven't talked about them at all, but in the spirit of spring training, what do you guys have for the over under for the Cardinals? We're gonna go 81.5 wins.
Jeez, that's funny because I actually have that one written down too. So I am good for 81.5, so 82. I'm gonna go under. Yeah. I have them pegged for like 75 wins this season. A lot of the and I took it by average because there's one analyst specifically thought that we were going to win like 50. I think it was like 53 games. I'm like, this guy's high. No. We'll win more than 53. But like the general consensus was around 70 wins, and I'm like, we'll win more than 70, but it's going to be like 75.
I think we will too.
Yeah. So like I will go under 81 so 81.5. So I'll go under the 82 games. But yeah, it'll be close, but I don't think we're going to be 500 this year.
No.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to go on the under, but I'm going to give him slightly better. I'm going to project him to be around 77. Just because I like that number. I like the number 7. So I'm going to go with 77. And the reason why I feel that is because hopefully with Walker and Mason Wynn, hopefully stepping up, and obviously, we got Helsley and everything else. I'm hoping that it keeps us at least above water. I guess above water would be 500 or more, right? But at this point, it's like, okay, you're going with an F season or a D minus, a D or a D plus or a C. I'm going to go with maybe we're going with plus season. So I'm going to go 77 at this point. Yeah. So
it's
below average, fair. Not a complete failure.
Because I'll tell you, I did modify the win total on that. I mean, I looked it up just to see, but a lot of the a lot of betting sites have them at 77.5, 76.5 for their over under.
Okay. Yeah.
But I wanted to see. I just wanted to see more of how do we feel about them winning at least half their game?
Yeah. Is it a winning season or a losing season? Right. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
They're not going to finish 500 if that's your question. No. The answer is no.
There you go. So yeah,
I can give you that confidence. It'll be in the 70s. I said they'll finish in the 70s. We can confidently say that.
That's what. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
I'm feeling slightly more optimistic than Josh. I don't know why, but just because.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna just say that they're gonna surprise some people and they'll get 83. And the reason I say that, well, first of all, they actually did hire a bunch more instructors, which is hugely important. I mean, what they're doing before is really should be considered malpractice, more or less. So I'm hopeful that some of their younger players that seem to have been floundering will actually be able to take a further step forward now that they are getting proper attention. So guys like Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, that kind of thing. But what sucks is it's hard to read anything from spring training, so you can't really, base anything off that. It's going to be a new look. But I also know that they've gotten some new technology that they didn't have before, like that really like high tech new thing where they got like where it basically lets you like load up a picture, and I don't think it's virtual reality, but it like basically lets you. It's a special pitching machine that like mimics uh, the movement and stuff of certain pitchers and shit like that. Like this is actually cutting edge stuff, and I think the company can't make them fast enough, is what I read. And the Dodgers kind of like had the market cornered on them for a little while, but anyway, apparently the Cardinals got one or two of those too. So like they really are investing in improving their players, and they have some good young ones coming up that can benefit from that. So I think, and plus they all got a chip on their shoulder too. So I think they could shock some people and actually be not too bad this year.
There you go.
There you go. Hello.
Well, that's an interesting thought, and I have to say that I hope that you're right. But I guess we'll see. I was going to say how much more time. I think we're kicking off the season pretty soon, aren't we? When is opening day?
That's March 27th, actually. So it's closer than you'd think.
Yeah.
Only
Well,
a
and
couple
technically,
more
I think
weeks.
the first opening day, not us, but the opening day for MLB is the 19th, it says, in Tokyo. I know that they're doing that again.
That's because the Cubs and Dodgers are playing in Japan.
Yeah.
They're doing that like super early. Yeah, I don't like that.
Because they did that last year, which is super weird.
Yeah, I don't like them doing that because I think that throws teams off. Like we got to get started like a week before everybody else and do it in a whole other country. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, so weird. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Yeah, we're going to be kicking off our opening day pretty soon, and so I haven't even really looked at our schedule so far this year. I need to actually take a look at it and see.
Yeah.
What it's even going to look like. Let's check it out. Let's take a look here. So opening day is, well, coming up. Yeah. Do we actually in St. Louis? When is that?
Yeah, I believe our first game is in St. Louis.
Oh, the 27th. Wow. So it's still
the 27th of March. Yeah.
Yep. It's the actual Cardinals home opener.
Yeah. So it might be a cold one. You know how that late March weather is.
We'll see. All right. Well, it'll be here before you know it. A couple weeks.
Yep. Yes, it will.
Anyway.
All right. Let's get to another one here. And we can go through these a little quicker too, because I'm just more curious what you guys' thoughts here. We'll start with the Cardinals. Arenado plays 65 games as the Cardinals this year. So essentially, like, will he be traded before he plays 65 games for us?
I'll take that one. No, he's gonna finish the year on the Cardinals probably. Everything I've
seen. So you're gonna go over it?
Yeah, well over. Because everything I've seen is that he has a very short list of teams that he's willing to go to. None of them seem to really have much of a need for him, unless he starts playing out of his mind, maybe. But even then, I don't know that they'll trade him, because if he's playing out of his mind, there's a good chance the Cardinals are playing well. And I think that really they want to try to compete this year if they can. So I think it would be highly unlikely he gets traded at all this season.
I think they would have already.
Interesting one.
Yeah, I think at this point, I agree. I see him probably finishing the season in St. Louis. I think that if there was anything that was really going to happen, we would have already seen it happen. And a lot of those avenues were already explored and promptly shut down. So I really doubt it, unless something remarkable happens, if something literally comes out of left field, no pun intended, but I really don't see that happening.
Yeah, I see it happening, unfortunately. So I have it as under. I think that they will find a trading partner because I think an injury is going to happen, and it's just going to open the path essentially. So
well,
that's
as
what
a
I
bonus
unfortunately see happening.
question, then what do you think the return will be?
Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing about it, because obviously, like, we already fielded offers, but like it was not the return that we were looking for. So then are we okay with those returns, or will a team get a little bit more desperate, which I think a team would get more desperate if they lose their third baseman, right? So it just really depends. I don't know.
It definitely sounds like once the Astros got out of it and the Red Sox got out of it, like the Yankees, it sounded like they're basically like, well, you pay his contract and we'll take him. Like,
yeah, that's pretty much what they were trying to do. And we're
like,
yeah, like Mo is like, yeah, okay, listen, I haven't done great deals lately, but no, we ain't doing that.
yeah, it's not like he's a bad player. It's just because his contract
Yeah.
is so, it's not like he's some black hole that you need to get rid of. It's like you could just let him play. So,
yep. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and just head here to the buy and sell. I'm going to start with this one here because this one's weighing a lot on my mind right now. Buy or sell. This is the UFL's last season in operation.
Oh man. Well,
I'm not sure.
I can tell you my honest opinion, and I don't want to admit it, but I think that it's going to be.
Yeah.
It just hasn't taken hold, and it hasn't grown. And outside of St. Louis, it has been a complete flop for the most part. And now that we have these labor disputes and unionization and everything else, it's going to, I think, just put a final nail on the coffin.
That's why I'm buying it as well, because there is a labor dispute going on and they continue to quote unquote cut. Like players, like teams are cutting their star quarterbacks because for no reason except for the fact that they were in labor disputes and they were trying to unionize. So it's like this is I don't know, like, that's the thing about it is awesome as the UFL has been with, we get to see what's in the huddle. We get to see what's being talked about in reviews and stuff like that. We don't get to see the front office shit that happens with like the league, announcing stuff. It's so funny how they are like, oh, look, we are so, transparent with all this stuff, but then everything else they are non-transparent about. And it's just like, well, it's literally the exact opposite of the NFL. The exact opposite of the NFL.
Yeah, we see the transparency in the game, but not necessarily what's going on as far as the business aspects of it all.
Yeah, and like,
unless you're talking about votes to move teams behind closed doors, then the NFL is pretty opaque, I would say.
Well, and
we're saying how opposite they are when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're. Oh no, I see your point, OJ. I do see your point. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
We're not sitting there.
Right.
The argument is not that it's corrupt, because like, again, the original vote was to keep the Rams here, right? So like then that should happen. Like, okay, cool. And then that was a closed door meeting, which didn't make any sense. But the thing about it is, I think that some of it is that just no one in the media gives a fuck about the UFL. You know what I mean? So there's just no news. Yeah, exactly. So I think that like if there's no one covering it, then we as fans are going, the fuck? And then like we're having to hear shit from players or executives, and they're going to tell you what, it benefits them the most. And so it's difficult, but I'm just saying that everything that Adam just said, plus with the fact that, again, star players are being cut out of the league now, I just don't see it, continuing on, unfortunately. So I hope so. I mean, they were talking about growth next year, but like, it's just, if you're having labor disputes, there's no possible way you can expand.
It'll be interesting to see, like we were talking earlier today, Josh, even if we have a season this year.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm saying I really don't. I just have a feeling that the season's going to get canceled, or they're going to play it's going to be 2 games
coming up. I mean, let me look at my tickets here. First game is the 6th of April. That's less than a month away. That's 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they
And
got
I
shit.
haven't really been saying shit about it either. Hasn't been a whole
Well,
lot
and
out
that's
about it.
the transparency piece. I think that Josh is
Yep.
talking about is the fact that we don't know what the hell's going on behind closed doors. And I started digging in whenever you sent that earlier, Josh. I started looking around online, like, has there been anything? I can't really even find anything from the past like 2 weeks, truly.
Yeah,
Other than
I know.
the UFL has basically said like, "Oh yeah, we're still on," but I'm like,
Yep.
but how? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
like
haven't given us any reason to like how that's gonna happen.
you're not addressing any of these issues that we're seeing that the players are talking about constantly.
They can't be like, "Oh yeah, we're still on because we're close to a deal or whatever." No, it's just like, yeah, we're
like
confident,
nothing.
we're fine.
Yeah,
Like,
we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're gonna say that up until they know for sure that it's not.
Yeah, but I wish that they would give us a little bit more like, how realistic is this? But I guess they don't want to give us that impression like there might be a glimmer of, or that there might be a chance that the season won't go on, and then ticket sales are going to plummet because people are going to be like, well, I'm not going to buy tickets because there's a good chance that
people aren't going to buy tickets. Period. That's the problem, though. Like, I mean, people outside of St. Louis, people aren't buying tickets. Who gives a shit?
They really
people that are interested are already bought season tickets. So,
that's
like, there's no point.
Really,
and you're screwing over your true fan base by doing so. So, I just think that's that's a cop out, but that's probably what they're doing. Like, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I think that is wrong in their intentions of what, I think it's wrong in the execution of what they're going to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I think they shouldn't have had. They had too many teams in cities with NFL teams. There's like an NFL team with
other than
city
us
with an
in
NFL
Birmingham,
team.
We literally no one else could really support a team.
Yeah,
and that's the problem is you have to have but you also but the thing is you have to have the infrastructure to be able to do it as well. We are a very we're the unicorn.
Yeah, we had a great.
We have a facility and we had a fan base that was dying for it. We had an empty facility that they don't fucking have to share. You know what I mean? Like legitimately,
and they got a brand new field too. Thank you, Mr. Crocky.
Yeah, he might get his last laugh if the fucking Battlehawks, don't play this year, or like this is the last season. Yeah, like it's not going to matter.
And then they don't even get to play.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even get to use it. So, yeah, but it is. It's going to be interesting. I'll give us one more before we head here to the sign off on a buy or sell. Buy or sell. Actually, OJ, I didn't get your buy. Are you buying that or are you selling it that this is the UFL's last season?
Well, it sounds like I'm buying it because it doesn't sure sounds pretty grim from what you're saying.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. But I mean, I hope not, but I mean, it is what it is. All right, so buy or sell. Mizzou in basketball will get to the Sweet 16 this year. I'll be very quick about this. I'm selling this hard. Like, I mean, I think Mizzou's good this year. I just don't see them getting to Sweet 16. We're just historically not the good tournament team. We've had 2 good runs, and to get to the Elite 8, we've never made the Elite or the Final 4. So I'm going with a sell on my side. How about you, OJ? Because I know that obviously you probably watched them a little bit more than Adam has this year.
Well, if it wasn't for the last 2 or 3 games, I'd say yeah. But they definitely faded down the stretch pretty hard. So, and I don't know. I actually, unfortunately, missed those games for the most part. But from what
you're the problem. You got to start watching.
From what I was reading, people were saying it seems like they're tired or something. I don't know, which they shouldn't be. They rotate players. It's not like they have a starting 5 that they have to stick with or they suck. I don't know. It could just be, maybe it's we're basically in the tournament now. We don't care as much anymore. I don't know. Point is, they have it in them to get to the Sweet 16. It's probably not likely they get to the Sweet 16, but man, when they're going good, dude, they're a really, really good basketball team.
Agreed, but are they going to win their first 2 games? And I just don't see them winning the first 2 games.
Yeah,
because that's all you need to do to win or to get the Sweet 16 is win 2 games, right? And I just don't see them do it. I think they'll win the first round. I think they're going to lose the second round.
Yeah, it really depends how they're seeded, who they play against, that kind of stuff.
Right now, they're
too.
projected for a seventh round pick, or for
Yeah,
a
but you
seventh
got the
rounder.
whole SEC tournament too, so it kind
For
of
sure.
depends how they do there.
Yeah,
See
but
where
I'm
they
just
get
going
seeded
off
with the whole
of
thing.
current. You know what I mean? Just going off of current shit. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say my confidence has been shaken in them, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Well,
I
to buck the
will.
trend. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'll sell it, but not as hard.
Okay.
Not putting the hard sell on anybody.
Yeah, fair enough.
And to buck the trend, just because I'm not watching, I have nothing to lose in this. I'm going to say, you know what? They're going to be in the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
Just
fuck it.
because.
Elite
I
Eight.
hope you're
Because I
right.
said,
Yeah, I
just
hope you're
because
right,
I
man.
said,
Sweet
I hope they get
16.
to
They're
this.
winning the
Yeah.
whole damn thing.
I hope they get to the
they're
second
going to
weekend.
win the whole
So
thing. They're going to win the entire, the whole thing. They're going to win
that
it
would
all.
be
They're going to win
that would
March
be
Madness.
Damn.
They're going to be the
yeah.
champs.
That would
Yep.
be amazing if
And
they
there's
did.
going to
That'd be fucking
be
crazy.
a parade in Columbia that you have never seen before. With blackjack and hookers.
No. Like, it would be a big parade, but if we won the national title in football, then it would be the fucking biggest party you've ever seen in your life.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
that
Well,
would
we'll
be the
still have
biggest party.
blackjack and hookers in Columbia. Okay. Whether it's basketball or football, doesn't matter. We're
I
still going to
agree.
have both. So there you go.
Yeah.
Blackjack and
There you
hookers
go.
for all.
Blackjack and hookers for all. Alrighty.
And tiny miniature American flags for the others that don't get into that.
Woo!
Those
All
are
right,
all
guys.
Simpsons
Let's go.
references. You didn't.
Let's go
Anyway,
ahead and let's go ahead and head to our sign off here. Adam, would you like to tell the good listeners how they can interact with the show, ask questions, give us buy or sell topics under overtime?
Buy, sell, over, under. We're willing to barter here. It sounds like. So if you're looking to hawk any of your wares, apparently hit us up on Facebook.com/ the Hometown Losers. Make sure you spell
bullshit.
that LOUSERS, or check us out on x.com x.com/hometown losers. Those are our socials. We would love to hear from you. And yeah, over to you, OJ.
Yeah, what do you got for the game of the week, OJ?
Since we're doing the whole week, I guess I'll go all the way till Thursday because the Blues play Vancouver at 6:30, and that could very well be the game that determines whether they make the playoffs or not.
Woo!
So 6:30, I believe it's at St. Louis. Could be wrong.
Let's go Blues.
But yeah, so let's go Blues. Yeah, that's in St. Louis. Vancouver's going to visit 6:30 p.m. Central.
There you go. I will be watching. Cool. Well, thanks so much for that, OJ. Now to our last little bit here, and one of my favorite bits as well. It's this week's
Stat Blast.
Over to you, Josh. We'd love to hear some interesting stats.
All right. Well, this one actually comes from our resident stat blaster in Adam. This was an interesting one. I had to share it. Yeah, I already know this is going. This is a very, very crazy thing. So we know King Griffey Jr., right? King Griffey Jr. is one of the greatest hitters that the game has ever seen, right? Did you know, though, he is the second all-time in hits by a left-handed outfielder born in Donora, Pennsylvania on November 21st.
Oh, you're doing this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Stan Musial was born in Donora, Pennsylvania on November 21st, who is also a left-handed outfielder. It's fucking crazy. They were both born in the same day, obviously different years. They're both left-handed outfielders from Donora, Pennsylvania. That's fucking
same town, same birthday.
Both left-handed
unreal, right?
Yeah, it's just crazy. When I saw that, I was just like, dude, that's fucking nuts. Like, could you imagine though? Because you're just never going to be like able to live up to that, right? And he's a Hall of Famer. He's a phenomenal fucking player, or was a phenomenal player.
But he will be second all time in hits by a left-handed outfielder, born in Donora, Pennsylvania, November 21st. Though he will be second behind Stan the Man Musial. So there you go. Isn't that crazy? That I thought whenever I shared that with Josh, I was like, that is just wild. The fact that both of those guys were born in the same. Not only were they born in the same town, but on the same day, and they were both left-handed out. Like, blows my mind.
Yeah, it's nuts.
We're like, what are the odds?
Yeah, like exactly right.
Yeah.
And not to just the fact that they made it to both from the same fucking town, making it to the MLB. That's huge in itself, right? And it's just like, damn.
Yeah, and then to that level.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
Yeah, that is nuts.
And then for that to happen, they're both playing the same position.
Both lefties.
Left-handed on top, which is even stranger, the fact that they're lefties, because that's even more obscure. They're both playing the same position and born on the same day.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think Griffey actually played center field a decent bit, probably, at least early in his career.
Yeah, and it's just outfielder. It's not like left field, right field. It is just outfielder in general.
They did both play
it is
outfield, which is close enough, honestly.
It was a left-handed outfielder, sorry. That was the actual stat. Left-handed outfielder.
Yeah.
It does.
And like I said, that's close enough. It's still
pretty so
it's an outfielder.
It is crazy that we get these kind of stats in fucking baseball. I remember watching the 2009 World Series between the Phillies and the Yankees, and Chase Utley was having a phenomenal series. And they're like, Chase Utley is the first batter or left-handed batter that bats second in the lineup to hit 2 home runs in his first 2 at bats in Game 3. The last guy that did that was Babe Ruth. I'm like, what the fuck? Really? We're comparing him to the Babe Ruth right now?
Yeah, well,
get the fuck out of here.
Some of them is just you throw enough.
Yeah, like he batted second in the lineup and hit the first 2 hit 2 home runs in his first 2 at bats in Game 3. I'm like, come on, man! Like it's crazy.
That was like the most career home runs last name beginning with R-U-T. And it was like Babe Ruth, Josh Rutledge, and Adley Rutschman, yeah. And the funny part is, and they were like, not only was it that, but it was also they both were born on February 6th. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that is funny. I mean, some of it is like you just throw enough arbitrary conditions in there and you can whittle that list of people down pretty quick.
Sure. It's just obscure funny facts, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just ridiculous. But all right, guys. Well, as always, it was good talking to you guys. We will catch you here next week on the Hometown Losers podcast. Have a great night, everybody.
Hey, this is Josh. Thanks for checking out and tuning in to the Hometown Losers podcast. Check us out next week as we continue our silliness and talk a little bit about the St. Louis sports scene. Catch you next week.